I've seen a bunch of posts about attacks missing or swings phasing through zombies in Build 42 Unstable recently. I figured I'd try my hand at explaining some of the ways it's happening. There's two ways I've been able to reproduce this behavior. The first is a zombie bite animation issue that happens in Build 41, but seems to have come back with a vengeance in Build 42. The second, and first I'll analyze, appears to be a new issue. I'm not sure if it's intended. At the end, I'll show off a fun targeting bug involving cars that was brought up and thoroughly scienced during the Twitch stream I spent testing the targeting issues. I'll be calling this the minimum range target switch. If you haven't watched my previous videos on Build 41 targeting, Zomboid checks your targets twice during an attack. The first check determines what kind of swing it should be, since the game will automatically do a ground attack for you if necessary. The second check is the actual hit and makes sure you still have a valid target. It occurs right before the animation for hitting the attack lands. In Build 42.0.2, it appears that you can start your attack on a zombie within the minimum and maximum range of your weapon, but the zombie can move inside the minimum range before it hits. If there's another valid target in your range, it chooses to hit that one instead. This only occurs if there is another valid target. If you have one zombie in range, it'll simply hit the zombie even though it's inside your minimum range. Note the location of my cursor in this clip and the others. It's between me and the closest zombie. I bring this up because there's usually someone in the comments of Reddit posts saying it's a skill issue. The cursor was closer to the farther zombie and it targeted that one instead. That is not happening. It's a targeting bug. You can prove the ability to hit zombies with a weapon inside the minimum range by doing a pivot attack. Start your attack with a zombie nearby, but outside of your range, and turn into the zombie in order for your attack to land. This is easier to visualize with the aim cone turned on in debug mode, like I am showing. While I was able to reproduce the minimum range issue within a minute or two of trying because I knew exactly what to do, it is difficult to reproduce with a normal weapon. Due to this, I've swapped over to a modified sledgehammer. It naturally swings slower, which widens the window for triggering the issue. I also extended its maximum and minimum range for ease of use. What you can see here is the same issue. The first zombie is targeted, walks inside the minimum range during the swing, which causes the second zombie to be targeted and hit. Note the aim outline does not show the objective truth when it comes to what is being aimed at, but as you'll see from this video, it is really good at reflecting it when it comes to standing zombies. Here's another clip of it happening in Build 42. The closest zombie is targeted during the start of the attack, and the farther zombie gets hit when it lands. Now I've swapped over to Build 41. I'm using a similarly modified sledgehammer and decreased my attack speed even more by carrying too much weight. I start my swing at the closest zombie. Despite the zombie moving closer than the minimum range and the aim outline flickering to the next valid target, it still hits the initially targeted zombie. In light of this change in targeting, I think it's very easy to understand why players coming from Build 41 to Build 42 run into this issue and post about it. Next is a bite animation issue. This one existed in Build 41 and I made a video about it. It's quite hard to reproduce unless you're fighting sprinters. I did my best to reproduce it while fighting fast shamblers. The window for triggering it might as well be frame perfect in Build 41. I did possibly trigger it, but it's not an objectively clear clip. The zombie I'm targeting does the bite animation and the outline flickers to the zombie I push. Yet they are so close to me, it's hard to say which one should have been hit in the first place. On the other hand, in Build 42.0.2, it's so easy to trigger this behavior, I constantly did it while testing my minimum range theory. For example, here's a push where it clearly phases through the closer zombie as it begins its bite animation. You'll also note the zombie misses me. I assume its target point is the character's upper body, which has moved behind it during the animation. I call this a push dodge in my previous video. Next is another classic push bug, but I have multi-hit enabled. Since pushes can hit multiple targets, in theory it should be able to hit both zombies. Yet the closer zombie that starts a bite animation at the right timing is ignored and not pushed. This leads me to believe the zombie cannot be targeted during this transition. The next clip is interesting. With multi-hit on, I push back 2 zombies. Then I swing at 2 highlighted zombies while a third walks into range. The closest zombie either crosses beyond minimum range or does a bite animation at the correct timing to become untargetable. The interesting part is that it only targets and hits one zombie. From this, I concluded that while multi-hit should at least hit the other zombies in range aside from the biting one, it doesn't when the bug is triggered. To highlight this, I increase the range of the crowbar for the next clip. It's kinda hard to fit more than 3 zombies inside the default range, and I thought maybe I need at least 6 zombies inside the range for it to target and hit a different group. With that change, I get an almost identical outcome, but this time I didn't push the zombies before the bad swing. I swing and only hit 1 zombie despite multi-hit being on and plenty of zombies being in range. The aim outline is also bugged and only highlights zombies in push range. Finally, I have a clip that breaks the pattern. I swing and hit 3 zombies like normal. The aim outline foreshadows the outcome of the next attack. It flickers to a zombie at the edge of my range while recovering from the attack. The next attack I make ignores all the closer zombies and hits that same zombie right at the edge of my range. First of all, this is multi-hit. Why is it only hitting a single zombie? Second of all, my cursor is right by my feet and should be aiming at the closest zombie if that cursor theory was true, which it isn't. This bit is cool. From the earlier swing that hit 3 zombies, we can tell exactly when an attack hits and how many frames later the animation for the hit plays. On this frame, the zombie's hat is knocked off and the fence is covered in blood. 4 frames after the hat magic trick, the animation for hitting the zombies happens. Now watch the bad targeting swing. Here's a frame where it hits the back zombie. If I go a few frames forward, you'll notice the closest zombie did in fact start its bite animation. This is all working theory. I'm not saying a zombie starting its bite animation becomes untargetable and somehow turns off multi-hit. It could be a distance thing, or even the minimum targeting distance issue. What I am saying is that it's a consistent and easily reproducible targeting bug. I don't believe pushes have a minimum targeting distance, and they are also affected by this or a separate bug. The fact that the aim outline flickered to the far zombie after the successful hit leads to even more questions, and actually goes against my theory of the bite animation or distance as a source of the bug. The zombies are clearly farther away, and none of them are biting. I'm starting to wonder if it has to do with beginning to move while targeting. There are other theories. I've seen some pretty compelling clips arguing that a previously hit zombie can have sticky targeting where it prefers to target that zombie over another. Even while editing this video, I've gone back and noticed that the majority of the time, it targets a zombie that just entered the weapon's range. Not every single time though, which settled my brief heart attack at noticing it. Luckily, some of my multi-hit targeting tests show a zombie in the center of the range being hit, which is a strong refutation to my own worries. We don't need to argue about the real cause of the bugs. The only people who need to know are the developers, and considering the bugs are fairly reproducible, it shouldn't be hard to figure out the source. Now, fixing the source could involve a lot of refactoring, or even a rewrite of the targeting code. I wouldn't expect such a thing to be immediately patched, even though it could happen. I'm showing you this so that you can work around these issues. In the dev blog named Holodoid from October 31st, the devs highlight the need to fix issues with targeting in combat resulting in unfair deaths. They already know about this stuff. It's the players who don't. It's a permadeath game, so an unfair death hits hard. I promised a fun car targeting bug, so here it is. In build 42.0.2, if you swing at a car from a distance, and it can be a very far distance, your weapon takes durability damage as if it hit the car. You can also see yourself gaining maintenance experience if you have a mod like Rune XP on. The car does not take damage, just your weapon. The fun part is windows. If you swing at a visible car through a window, it'll break the window no matter the distance. If you're like me and notice windows randomly breaking, this will answer some questions and bring a smile to your face. Now you can vandalize random windows from range. Enjoy! I did check to see if it happened with zombies, and it doesn't. If you made it this far, you're cool.